The transfer portal never sleeps, and it just added a VIP guest list to the top of its radar. Let's talk about the recent news coming out of Austin of Maalik Murphy's status going into the portal, plus what he can bring to your team, and if adding him will turn you into a college football playoff dark horse. If you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So this is the type of content you enjoy, plus coaching searches, the transfer portal, bowl eligibility, and a bunch of other nonsense. Make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on Maalik Murphy, where you'd like to see him strap it up in 2024. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of pros, college football aficionados, and Texas fans everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to 1,000. Then 10,000, then 50,000, then 100,000. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get there. So why don't you jump on in while the water's fine? Give me a follow on Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter for the rest of my life. I don't care, Elon, what you want. At Mr. Cole Thompson. It's the exact same as my YouTube handle. That way, the flow of college football conversations never have to stop. So Maalik Murphy, former four-star quarterback, is now entering the transfer portal. And it comes at a bit of a double-edged sword for a multitude of reasons. Let's start off with Murphy. Murphy was a loyal soldier. This was a kid who last year could have entered the transfer portal. He could have gone anywhere in the country. NIL deals were starting to flow. They were coming down in cascades of formalities, and millions of dollars were at his reach. And he stayed. He stayed in Austin. And don't get me wrong, he absolutely got a little bit of NIL money to come back to the 40 acres, but he believed in the proof of concept. He wanted to be a part of what was going to be a breakout year for the Longhorns. He wanted to be at least a piece of the chapter of what could be a special season down in Austin. And it was. They're going to the college football playoff. They beat Alabama by 10 points in Bryant-Denny Stadium. That doesn't happen in a Nick Saban-led coaching era. They were able to only lose one game, and they dismantled everybody. And Murphy at least can say he was a part of that. Because here's the bottom line, people. Texas is not going to the college football playoff without Maalik Murphy. Now, he wasn't a superstar, and he wasn't the quarterback that carried the load for most of the season. But never forget, Quinn Ewers leaves in the fourth quarter against Houston, and now you're turning to number 6 to lead the charge for 2 games. And he goes 2-0 as a starter. And were there promises in those games? Absolutely. Were there flaws in those games? Absolutely. But that was also his first ever taste of college football. He didn't play at all in 2022. So he had to sit and watch Hudson Card and Quinn Ewers pave the way and get to 8-5 because he was dealing with a foot injury that sidelined him all the way until spring football. And we got glimpses of what he could do. And that's honestly what you're going to get if you're looking to add him in via the portal. A kid with a lot of glimpses, personality, and persona that could pave the way for you to be a breakout team. But this does sting for Texas, and it stings for Murphy, because Murphy now is not going to be on the roster for the Sugar Bowl. He's not going to be on the roster if Texas finds their way to NRG Stadium in Houston for a shot at the national championship. And it sucks because this is a kid who did play the role of a loyal soldier all the way until he could. But there also comes a point where you have to realize what's best for your future. With the new rules of the transfer portal and with there being 2 open periods for the transfer portal window, you have to realize that if you miss your opportunity, you're stuck on campus at least until April. So then when the transfer portal opens back up, you can go read through recruitment. And at that point, teams could already feel solidified at the quarterback position. So a scholarship that was coming your way, say in December, no longer will be there in April or in May. Not to mention, you're also taking away reps to where you can learn the offense, be a part of the new system, and fight for a starting role for your new team. And unfortunately, if you don't get there on time, what happens is regression sets in. Perfect example of this would be Peyton Thorne last year. So Peyton Thorne goes to Auburn. He's a kid that a lot of people thought was going to beat out Robbie Ashford, and he did. But let's be real for a second. We can keep a buck. He wasn't perfect. In fact, you could say that he was at times one of the worst quarterbacks in the SEC. And I don't think that that's an entire testament to his overall skill set, but I do think if he would have had those reps in spring practice, it would have benefited him. He would have understood what Philip Montgomery wanted. He would have built relationships with the wide receivers, and he would have had a better understanding of the concept that probably would have turned a few losses into wins for the Tigers this past season. So that's a key element for any quarterback that wants to enter the portal, is that they have to realize we got to go now. So he has to now sit and watch wherever he lands, his former team maybe find their way to hoist up their first national title since 2005. And it sucks for him. It's terrible. It's got to be one of the worst feelings out there. But on the same side, it's terrible for Texas. And Steve Sarkisian, give him credit where credit's due. Last night, had a meeting with Fox Sports in Houston, and he talked a lot about how this was the right decision for Maalik. He holds no ill feelings for him. He understands that this is the world of college football now, but he has to game plan. And now he also has to realize what the future entails in case of anything. And history sometimes finds a way to repeat itself. And let's go back to 2009, where Texas took on Alabama in the national championship. And lo and behold, after the opening drive, you lose Colt McCoy. And then you have to turn to Garrett Gilbert for the rest of the game. And Gilbert, he wasn't ready. Wasn't anywhere close to being ready. And there was more to that story than just, oh, Texas finds a way to lose. Alabama starts the dynasty out in Los Angeles. But that's neither here nor there. What happened is that Gilbert lost his confidence. Gilbert was no longer viewed as the right guy in Texas. And the only way for him to get back to where he wanted to be was by transferring. So what happens if Quinn Ewers goes out against Washington in the first quarter with an elbow injury and he can't return? Well, now you turn to Arch Manning. And Arch Manning, I think, is absolutely the future of Texas. There's a reason why he's sticking around in Austin, whether or not Quinn Ewers comes back next season. Because if he realizes that I have a proof of concept, and also I believe in what Sark is implementing down on the 40 acres. So he's nowhere near getting close to leaving, but he's also nowhere near close to getting ready to start a game in the college football playoff era. He's just not. Plain and simple. You can't go out there and expect you to win with a kid that's played less than 36 reps in his tenure outside of practice. So now you're putting your faith in a true freshman to pave the way and get you past a potent passing game like Washington and be able to go toe-to-toe with them. Or worse, let's say you're playing in the national championship and it's 2.0 against Alabama. History finds a way to repeat itself. Same elbow, same drive. You find your way into the end zone. It's a tie game. And then come the haymakers. That's a real shot. That's a real possibility for Texas. And it sucks because of now we're going back to the same conversations. Well, if Colt McCoy doesn't get hurt, Texas finds a way to win the national championship. Well, if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt, Texas finds a way to win the national championship. Maybe it's true, or maybe it's not. But I digress in that situation. It's not really that big of a deal. The other thing that's really important here is that for Sark, he may now have to pay attention to the transfer portal just in case Quinn Ewers decides to go pro. Now, I've talked to some people out in Austin. I've talked to people around Quinn Ewers' camp. There's a 95% shot he's coming back for next season. And that probably also played a factor with Maalik Murphy, because if he would have at least gotten reps with the first team in the spring, if he would have stuck around, maybe he would have been the starter for one season before Arch gets the job. But either way, if Quinn Ewers does come back, well, now what you're saying is, good, we have our quarterback to lead us into the future of the SEC. But let's just say he says today he's coming back. And then 2 weeks from now, after he loses, but he has an incredible game against Washington, his mind differs. Or say 3 weeks from now, he wins the national title and everyone is praising his name and he realizes my draft stock may not get much higher than this. And if I come back next year, I could be pulling a Matt Barkley and end up seeing my day 1 status turn to a day 3 status. I'm going to go ahead and take the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to go pro. Well, now you're entering the SEC in a rigorous schedule where you have to face off against teams like Georgia, like Texas A&M, I believe LSU, if I'm not mistaken as well. Those teams with Arch Manning, who may or may not be ready. So the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away. And I'm not just talking about in players. I'm talking about in timing structures, because this is the new era of what we have to deal with in college football, where there will be kids who could lead your team to victory. There's proof of concept there with Maalik Murphy, but they have to do what's best for them. And what's best for Maalik Murphy right now is to get as many reps as possible, not just in terms of what comes with the territory, but also in terms of what could be when it comes to landing with your next team. There's going to be a lot of schools interested in him. I would not be shocked to see UCLA be one of the front runners. You got to realize they need a quarterback. I don't think Ethan Garbers is the long-term solution. They lose Dante Moore this past offseason. They absolutely should be in the running to land him for the future. And there's going to be a bunch of other schools that probably we haven't even heard of just yet because of we didn't realize, oh, there's a kid by the name of Maalik Murphy going in the portal. And now we have to turn our attention to that guy. So maybe a school like Indiana with Kurt Signetti, they find a way to get the NIL collective at an all-time high, and they say, come to Bloomington and be a star. Maybe we see schools like Iowa make a run. Maybe we see schools in the Big 12 want to keep him in the conference for next season. Maybe other SEC schools, Vanderbilt's looking for a quarterback. South Carolina's looking for a quarterback. Maybe they come together and put up funds that are necessary to land a guy like Maalik Murphy. But the bottom line is that you are landing a premier talent if you get number 6 from Austin. He's mobile, not a mobile quarterback in terms of dual threat, but he can be elusive behind the line of scrimmage. How would serve a cannon of an arm, the ability to manipulate defenses, good structure, good footwork, great poise. Everything is there except the reps. And you get the reps, you get a quality player. You get a quality player at the most important position, there's a very good shot that you have a real inclination of making it into the college football playoff. It sucks. It sucks for Texas. It sucks for Maalik Murphy that he now has to sit by idly and look at the next phase of his life. But ultimately, maybe both end up walking away a champion, where Texas is hoisting up a national title with or without number 6 on the roster, and Maalik Murphy is plotting his ways of making it to the CFP in 2020. Thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.